I feel really good. Did you break up with your boyfriend while you were at home? It was really hard to come to terms with. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would do a Q&A and also an eat with me. I have a big old bowl of pesto pasta with cheese on it here. So before I even get started, if you want to go get something to eat or drink, which I just realised I haven't even brought myself anything to drink, which is quite annoying, but anyway, if you want to go and get yourself something to eat, pause the video and go get something to eat. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a Q&A because I realised we haven't had like a proper little catch up in a while. I think it's been quite a few months since I did a Q&A. So this is like an all-round general life one. I've had a lot of the same questions recently of people just wondering what's going on with some things in my life, so I just thought I'd discuss them. I don't know if you can see that. I'm so excited about it. I've been fancying I've been fancying pesto pasta for ages. Let's begin. First question, and this is one that I actually quite often start with, and that is, how are you really? Obviously I touch on it when I do daily vlogs and stuff like that, but generally I'm actually doing really well. I've never challenged so much stuff anxiety wise. Obviously if you're new here, you probably won't know, but I have PTSD and I've really struggled to leave the house and go out and about and do normal things for ages, and now I'm finally in therapy and trying to do them. And guys, I've just been challenging so much recently. Like, it's genuinely nuts the amount that I'm doing and the amount of like independent things that I'm starting to do or trying to do, and like going to London and stuff. Like, I've been so many times to London now. I don't know, I feel really good because I'm challenging so much, but I'm also really tired because I'm challenging so much, which anyone who has mental health or an anxiety issue that you've had to face will probably know that it's tiring. Next question, current food fixations. So I mean, I recently rediscovered pesto pasta, like, because I was veggie, I wasn't really eating pesto, and now I was like, oh my god, I can have it again, and I'm like in love with it. Also bagels in any form. And the other thing is Ben & Jerry's. I've been rebuying Ben & Jerry's for so long. Like, I'm genuinely obsessed with Ben & Jerry's. The next question is, which language would you like to be able to speak? And I thought this was a really good question because I've obviously talked about, I think I mentioned it in my New Year's goals, but I've been really trying to learn French for like a year or two now, probably more like a year. I think I picked it up like last year, but I did it at GCSE. I loved the ability to have a different language because I think when you're raised speaking English and you only speak English, you kind of take for granted the fact that like everyone just speaks your language, but actually the art of language learning is so beautiful. So I want to learn a language. The language that I'd want to be able to speak is French, and I've actually been using Lingoda to learn French recently. Lingoda is an online language learning school. They're so great, they're so flexible, so you can literally book an online lesson at any time of day. Like, it's 24/7. I could do one at 2 AM if I wanted to, which means that it's so great because it fits around my schedule and it doesn't stress me out in the sense of like it feels like an obligation. Like, I can book it when I want to do it and when I know I have free time. And they're actually live online lessons, which is so cool because I find that I take it in way more that way, and like it's interactive, so I'm getting feedback as I'm learning. It's really cool because you can pick what language you want to do and you can specify what topics you want to do, and the teachers are all really understanding, and it's been really helping me challenge my general anxiety because obviously I'm going into a new group of online people and talking in a language that I don't feel that confident in, which is the point because I'm learning it. So it's really helping to actually push me out of my comfort zone, and I'm really enjoying that. Lingoda also do sprint challenges and super sprint challenges, which is so cool. So the sprint challenge is if you do 30 lessons over 2 months, then you get 50% cash back, and if you do the super sprint, which is 60 lessons over 2 months, you get 100% cash back, so you get all of your money back. And if you use my discount code RoMitchell, you will get €20 or $25 off. So if you have been wanting to get into language learning, I feel like this is just such a great opportunity and such a great motivation too. But yeah, I've just genuinely been loving it, and I'm so excited to carry on learning French with Lingoda and to get more confident. It's so exciting to me. So I will leave my link in the description, and again, my code is RoMitchell if you do want to check it out. Okay, so the next question is books that you've enjoyed recently. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen I read The Secret History by Donna Tartt. I don't know where I think it's downstairs because I'm lending it to my mum, but guys, that book has like changed my life. Like, I could not stop thinking about it for about 3 days, and I just feel like no other book's ever going to compare to it. Like, it was so good. I know it's been quite hyped up. I'm probably a bit late to the party. Like favourite book ever. I also read Why Fish Don't Exist, which was a really good book. I've only really just got back into reading, so I don't have that many recommendations. But yeah, someone said, do you have an after therapy routine? Usually I'll come home, eat some food, because it's tiring, have a cup of tea, and usually I'll like chill in bed and play my Nintendo Switch. I really love playing Stardew Valley because I just find it really calming, and often I don't have the attention span to like read or whatever. So that is generally my after therapy routine, and then I'll just lie in bed and wait for my boyfriend to come home. And then we'll have dinner. Opinions on relying on your partner too much when mentally struggling. See, I thought this was like quite an interesting question because I've seen a lot of stuff online about like not depending on your partner. And it's one that I find hard to kind of deal with, because I have had insecurity before about like, oh, I'm depending too much on Brandon and like putting too much of my shit on him. But the truth is that he loves me and he wants to help me. Like, he wants me to tell him things because he wants to be there for me. And I think as long as you're not being horrible to them, or, you know, using any mental health issues as an excuse to be like unkind or like push them around or anything, I don't really think there's an issue with asking for support and letting that person help you. I'm not completely dependent on Brandon, but I've come a lot further than I maybe would have done if I hadn't had him. So I feel like the whole thing of like relying on your partner too much, I don't really know how I feel about it. Like, I think your partner is obviously not just there to look after you, but they are there to care about you and to give you love and support when you need it. So if you're mentally struggling, you know, you're not going to be mentally struggling 24/7. For the times when you are mentally struggling, I don't think there's anything wrong with accepting help from those around you. But that's just my take. Guys, I also completely forgot to show you. Look at my jumper. I'm selling them again. I'm so excited. I'll put proper pictures up here of what they actually look like, because literally the whole range is available now. So if you missed out on any of them, like the My Body Is My Home, or the Be Kind to Yourself, or this one, the Give Yourself the Love You Deserve, they're all available, and they're now available on tote bags and sweatshirts too, as well as hoodies and t-shirts, which is like so exciting. I'm obsessed with the tote bags, but I will also link that in the description, and obviously it's on my Instagram and stuff. So if you do want to get one, they're available until the 10th of March. They do ship internationally, and they come in sizes extra small to 2XL, so I hope some of you will be able to get one, because I know some of you were like really bummed out about missing out on it. But anyway, I love the next question so much, and it really made me think. What would you do if you didn't have anxiety, PTSD, or an eating disorder for a day? Well, I kind of live as if I don't have an eating disorder now anyway, because even though I get the thoughts, like, I'm not waking up and like restricting or exercising or anything like that. I'm kind of just going about my life. So I'd probably focus more on like the anxiety and PTSD. What I would do, I'd probably get up, go for a morning walk with the dog by myself, like with headphones on, wear what I want, and just walk around. It's really simple things. And then I'd probably like get public transport alone and go somewhere, or get the train to London and meet my friend. Like, there's so much I would do if I wasn't stuck in the house because of PTSD. And it's really frustrating because it does dictate so much of my life at the moment. But again, as I said, I'm doing my best with that. Like, I'm trying to sort it out, do you know what I mean? Now I'm gonna answer the most asked question ever. I got asked this question like probably 50 times, and it's been commented on my YouTube loads recently as well, and like just people asking me all the time. And that's fine, I've just chosen not to speak about it yet. Have I moved back home? Am I still living with Brandon? Have I moved back in with my parents? The answer to all of those is yes. Brandon and I have moved in with my parents. The tenancy at the other house was just coming to an end, and we are hoping to buy a house at some point in the future. Hopefully like next couple of years, maybe next year if we were lucky. And we just don't know where we want to go or what we want to do, so we're living with my parents for a little bit. Which for me it's basically just moving back home, because I only moved out like less than a year ago. But yeah, I think we did think we were going to be there for a little bit longer, but yeah, the tenancy's ended, so we're back here. But yeah, I mean, this is my old bedroom just with a double bed in it, and it's like way smaller now because obviously it's got a double bed in it, we've got the hamster in it. But I don't really know why I didn't mention it. I just haven't really spoken about it yet, but I have been asked about it literally so much, so I have moved back home. But me and Brandon didn't break up, as a lot of people also thought. Like, a lot of people were like, did you break up with your boyfriend? Why are you at home? We haven't broken up, we just both live here now. Your hopes for the future, i.e. future job, further education. I actually got quite a few questions about like, you're not at uni, what are you going to do with your life? And like, that is obviously something that I find really stressful, and I think anyone else that's had to drop out of school and not been able to go through uni probably finds it quite stressful too, because I know when I was a kid, like my whole life I've wanted to go to uni up until like a year or two ago, and I was like so set on going to uni because I knew it would get me into like a good career. I never saw myself not going to uni. So when I got ill and had the realization that actually I couldn't go to uni, it was really hard to come to terms with. So I'm not going to go to uni. I don't think I'll do further education. I don't think it would be right for me, but also I don't think I'm going to need it for what I want to do. My hopes for the future, I'm hoping to work in supporting people with eating disorders from a recovered and understanding place, because in my opinion the best people to help people with eating disorders are people that have recovered from them. I've had so many therapists that I've just read from a book. No disrespect to those people, because like there are a lot of incredible therapists and eating disorder support workers out there that haven't had eating disorders, but I find a lot of the time that it's a lot more helpful coming from someone who actually knows what it's like. The next question confused me a bit, but I feel like there's a point I have to make here anyway. It says, did you cry when you ate or before and after you'd ate? So I think what they're saying is like, at what point did you cry when you were eating? Which is a bit of like, it is a bit of a random question, but at the same time I kind of get what it means. So like, I didn't actually want to answer this. I just wanted to address it because I feel like there's this kind of feeling in anorexia recovery that a lot of people seem to have, that it's like you need to be crying over your meals, otherwise you clearly aren't struggling. But guys, like physical tears aren't the only proof that you're struggling or that you're in pain or that you're hurting. Like, I did not cry over every meal I ate. Yeah, I struggled. Yeah, it was difficult. Some meals were not as difficult as others though, and that's okay. I didn't struggle with every single mouthful of everything I ate. Like, when I was in recovery, I didn't cry over every meal, and that's normal. I cried sometimes because it was really stressful, but like, don't feel bad if you're not crying or if you're not like outwardly showing a struggle. Like, you know that you're struggling inside, and it doesn't matter if anyone else knows or not. I just think like, if you're feeling invalid because you don't cry over meals, you need to really get rid of that thought, because not everyone with an eating disorder cries over food. The next question, do you like Colleen? It actually says Colin, but Colleen Hoover books. I bloody hate Colleen Hoover books. I mean, I heard something about her, like she did something a little bit dodgy. Maybe look it up yourself because I don't really want to talk about it in case it's triggering, but I already have that kind of preconception of her. But I tried to read, is it on my shelf? I don't know what the book's called. I don't think it's on my bookshelf. It's called, I'll put a picture of it on the screen, the one that I tried to read, and it was awful. It was literally written like a Wattpad fan fiction. Like, it was bad, and I just couldn't get into it. And I don't really get why everyone's hyping them up so much, because I just think the plot is so predictable and the writing is just really average. But that is just my opinion. Like, I will say that it did put me off reading for a while. I think it was 2021 that I tried to read it, and I just didn't read like for like a year after that. I always love your music suggestions. Thank you. Top 3 songs of the month. Really obsessed with Noah Kahan for some reason. So Homesick by Noah Kahan. Love that song so much. Woodland by the Paper Kites. I know it's like not exactly a new or unheard of song, but like the vibes are just immaculate. Also Evergreen by Richie, what are they called? Richie Mitch and the Coal Miners or something like that. I know it's like an Instagram sound, but it's actually a really beautiful song, and if you need a cry, I feel like that's a good song. How's the little hammy? My hamster is good. He's alive, he's thriving. Beans is great. How have you managed to not tie your identity to an eating disorder, especially with making recovery content? A lot of my like online persona is eating disorder related, obviously, because it's my space where I talk about eating disorders and I help people or try to help people, and I'm like an advocate for it or whatever. In real life, I don't really talk about it that much. Like, gonna be honest, I eat quite normally now. It doesn't really come up. When I meet new people, it would probably take me quite a while to even need to mention it. So I do feel like my in real life identity isn't really tied up in my eating disorder anymore. I feel like there's a lot more to me than that. I mean, as you progress in recovery gradually and you choose to let go of that eating disorder identity and not make that the focus of who you are, that will just naturally happen, I think. Are you very short or is your boyfriend really tall? Guys, I like to think I'm like average height. I'm like 5'5", 5'6". My boyfriend is 6'2", so I'd say he's quite tall and I'm an average height, but he makes me look tiny. What did you want to be when you were younger versus what do you want to do with your life now? Well, obviously I said with my life now I want to help people with eating disorders and help people recover from mental health issues and stuff. When I was a kid, I wasn't ill, so I didn't know what an eating disorder was, so definitely wasn't this. I really vividly remember, like, core memory for me, I was like 7 or 8. Someone asked me what I wanted to do when I was older, and I just said I want to marry a doctor, because I thought doctors were rich. I thought doctors were like the richest of the rich. I was just trying to marry into money. I just wanted to be a little housewife mum, I think. Like, I don't think I wanted to work, which is so funny because everyone's like, I wanted to be a firefighter, I wanted to be in the army, and I'm like, I just wanted to marry someone rich. I don't really know what that was about. Very strange for me as a kid, but I know at one point I wanted to be a journalist, which I suppose is like the media aspect of things I'm kind of doing at the moment. So I guess I've kind of worked it in a little bit, but I don't know. A fear you've overcome lately. Public transport. I can now get on buses, trains, and the tube. The underground, like the London Underground, it still makes me quite anxious, especially when it's busy, but I think that's like normal for a lot of people. But like buses and trains just don't bother me now. It's so cool. Like, I really rarely get anxious on them, and that was something that was freaking terrifying to me. Like, I couldn't do it. Like, I was so scared, and now I'm just like, which is really, really cool. So yeah, I've overcome that fear. I just dropped cheese everywhere. The last question I'm going to answer is, do you think it's necessary to work with a dietitian or therapist in order to recover? My answer there is, depends who you are, but no, not necessarily. I actually spoke on a podcast about this. It was Emily and Hans. I'll try and link it in the description if I remember. But Han and I spoke about how actually sometimes therapy can kind of hinder you. So I'm just going to take one last final massive mouthful. So I personally, like, I felt held back by my therapist in a lot of ways. Like, I found that I would struggle more after a session, because if I was needing to face a fear food, there would be this big assumption that like I was going to massively struggle with it from the therapist's perspective. From the therapist's perspective, Jesus. And if I didn't struggle that much with it, I'd feel really guilty, because I'd be like, oh, I'm meant to be feeling guilty. I'm meant to be feeling guilty, and I'm meant to be feeling bad. And like, I'm not. So like, they're going to think that I'm not even ill, and then they're going to think I'm wasting their time and stuff like that. So I actually felt in a lot of ways therapy held me back, and I kind of flourished when I left therapy. Or I didn't leave, like I just discharged myself, which, by the way, I was at a place where I could do that. Like, I was gaining weight well and challenging myself well, and their adult services, so they were like, sure girl, go. I never actually I did see a dietitian, but my eating disorder team didn't ever get me a dietitian appointment. I had one from when I was in general hospital. My team just, they weren't great. Like, the eating disorder services were not great. I'm just going to be honest. I'm just cleaning up cheese. So I didn't actually see a dietitian, and I kind of followed my meal plan from the hospital to get me through like refeeding. And then after that, I just kind of did my own thing. So I've managed to make it here without dietetic or therapeutic input, I guess. So I would say that it is not 100% necessary. But if you are really physically unwell, obviously you're going to need some level of monitoring. So I'm kind of torn about it, but yeah. And that's that. That's the last question. So I'm going to leave it there, and I will see you next week. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that if you ate something with this, it was nice. I will leave my link to Lingoda in the description, and I will leave a link to the t-shirts and hoodies and tote bags and everything, sweatshirts, in the description too. And yeah, thank you so much for watching again. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you next week. Take care of yourself.